one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece?
Okay. Well, hey, Mike. This is Mike Diederich, everybody. We haven't talked in how long? It's been literally days.
about a month.
Yeah. We already recorded this thing once, but I was such a dumbass that I actually didn't press record. It was the first time I used this program, and there is like a big bright like red thing in the lower left corner that says record just by default. And now it says stop now that I pressed record. But the first time I was like, oh, it's recording. I'll be fine.
Well, here we go.
Here we go. So we're going to have the same exact conversation down to the letter that we did the first time.
Somehow I doubt that. But we'll do our best.
Yeah. That's what we'll do. So Mike, tell me a little bit about your career and how it started.
Oh, you mean my career in animation or altogether?
Well, not your career as an unemployed man, which you're currently doing. But, yeah, start where you want. You know, I feel like as animators, did my career really start when I, got my gig on Felix the Cat, or was it long before?
No, it started way earlier. My first thing out of school, I went to school at the Art Center College of Design. I think you knew that. It's in Pasadena, very famous school and everything. And I lived like a pauper. I was, I actually lived in a room that cost me $50. So you can imagine how luxury that was. Actually, I shared the room with a washer and dryer, and anybody else in the building could use it at any time, whether I was asleep or not. And but when I first got out of school, the first job I had was a place called Pacific Eye and Ear, and it was in advertising. And they were famous for doing album covers, like they did all of the Alice Cooper album covers. Drew Struzan was there before me, and very famous. He died recently, and I remember one of our biggest clients was Risa Rolling Papers, and rather than pay us properly, they paid us in copious amounts of marijuana. And I remember coming in early because I wanted to impress everybody, and I would come in early, and my art director, I was knocking on the door, and he opened the door, and it was just wafting with smoke. And the first thing he did was get me incredibly stoned. And then I had to do things that are obsolete now, like draw, like everything in a magazine had a frame around it, and you'd have to draw it with a mechanical pen, and it would have to be so perfect that he would come with a loop and check the corners to make sure they're absolutely square. And if they weren't completely square, you have to scrape what's there with a X-Acto knife. Imagine doing this now. Now you just press a couple of buttons on the computer there, And
this all makes sense because you were always so exacting. Like your art is always just so immaculate that it all makes sense now.
I think that's where it came from, honestly. And it scared the shit out of me because he would come up behind you and look, and meanwhile he just got me unbelievably stoned. And now I'm trying to do this stuff. I was nervous as hell.
After a while, you probably get some extra focus out of that. I don't know.
But my first job in animation was at DIC, and that was on The Real Ghostbuster. And I did character designs in there. And I remember going into, to apply for that job, and they said, well, okay, they wanted me to go home and draw some ghosts. So I went home and I was drawing, like Casper the Friendly Ghost, kind of shit, and I came back in and they just looked at me like, this is not what we were looking for. And I'm like, well, what were you looking for? And I go to they show me this guy named Stefan. I can't think of his last name, French guy. And he's drawing like monsters like Mobius would draw,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you guys tell me this is what you wanted? So I said, give me one more chance. And so I drew about 30 really crazy freaking ghosts and everything. And when I brought those in, they hired me. And that's that was the first job. And then I worked doing mostly um, coming up with ideas for shows or doing like presentation pieces and stuff like that for Deke until I started working at on the Batman cartoon. And I was doing character designs for Batman in the 89, 90, 91,
Mhm. Do you,
92.
are there any notable designs you did for that, or?
Well, I wouldn't say they were that notable because whenever there was a really good design to be done, Bruce Timm would do it, and who is a terrific artist. No denying, but it kind of was a drag because he got all the good stuff.
Mhm.
But I had a lot of fun drawings anyway, gangsters mostly, and you know all the guys in the background. Those are the guys I did. And it's funny because they also like whenever there was like at Deke and also at that was at Warner Brothers. Whenever there was a crowd to do, they would ask me to do it because for me I could do that
Yeah.
really easy. It was like I would just scribble and then put a sheet of paper over it and find the faces in the clouds. It was easy to do, but
Mhm.
most people couldn't do it. Also, like I learned that the thing there we had to use ink to do our characters, which that you had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you learn to use you learn to draw in ink, and even the storyboards on Batman were done in ink. And I think that's where I kind of learned to do storyboards, not necessarily the right the right way because the first show I ever did storyboards on was Johnny Bravo, and they hired me to do. They wanted me to do character designs, but when I saw it, I looked at the style of the show, and I just thought, "Ugh, I can't draw that shitty." I didn't want. It just seemed like such a. And so I said, "But I'll do storyboards," and they said, "Okay." And I just acted as if I'd done it before, but I'd never done it before. And all I did was I remember seeing all the Batman boards, which were amazing. They looked like finished comic books.
Mhm.
And so that's pretty much the way I approached the Johnny Bravo stuff. But in Johnny Bravo, the storyboard guys would go into a room with the writers, Gene Grillo and Jed Springarn, I think his name is, and they would come in with an outline and they would start pinning up dialogue, and as they pinned up dialogue, we would race to put drawings to correspond with the dialogue. And I think that's where I really learned. I thought, well, maybe I could do this. And like when I came to your show, which was much later, uh, all of a sudden we got to write our own stuff, and that's I thought, well, I think maybe I can do this because of having done the Johnny Bravo stuff. So I just approached it the same way.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was a good learning experience. We would laugh our asses off, man, doing because there was a Gene Grillo. He was so hilarious. He it was like he was channeling Johnny Bravo, and anything that came out of his mouth, you'd think, yeah, that's what Johnny would say. But most of it remained on the floor because we got pretty body in the.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess to rewind a little bit, I met you at Film Roman, not during my internship, because that's when I was on Felix the Cat, and you had already left. By that point, I was the apprentice, and you were the master.
Yeah,
And I remember you were the art director on the Blues Brothers, And at that point,
Yes.
we were doing everything that was my first time doing real inking.
Yeah.
Because on Felix the Cat, we would do like the real sculpted line, and Craig Kelman was just like, just do it in pencil, and you kind of just faked it. But Blues Brothers, we had the fountain pen tells, and I remember you
Yeah.
taught me to ink, and I remember I was just so jazzed about being there that you'd give me an assignment and I'd go do it, and then like an hour later I'd come back and you'd be like, okay, okay, and after like the third time you're like, look, just slow down.
Yeah, man.
But you kind of taught me a lot about how the animation industry like actually worked. Uh, it wasn't really an industry pipeline school, so
Yeah. Yeah.
in college they were always just like, do what you do, and whatever it is, it'll be fine. But yeah, I learned so much on that show.
You were one of the few guys that came in, and I would always crack up because you did you would push it, which is exactly what I wanted to see, and other people were disappointing, but yours were always funny. So
It was a fun show to work on for something that never made it to air. Like there's a lot of
it was
really
incredibly
fun, innovative
disappointing.
stuff in that show.
It was so disappointing that didn't make it to air because I thought everything was looking incredible. The design, especially the character designs, looked amazing. Everybody was doing
Well, yeah, of course.
great job. And then we had about 8 storyboards before they just canceled it and pulled it for
It
whatever
got
reason.
canceled. Like literally, it was we got the first footage back, right? Like the promo or something, and like the week that happened, I think we got canceled.
Yeah.
I think it was very strange.
And also they took it away from Jordan and gave it to Gary Hardle.
And I know we talked a little bit about this last time, but if I knew then what I know now, like I would have known that show wasn't going anywhere. Like there were just so many crazy problems, and the scripts I think were 60 pages long for a 22-minute show. Like
Yeah, kept
there were just a
complaining.
lot of issues.
You just can't do this, and the writers were so married to their work, so just couldn't mess with them. And then there were struggles between the studios, Film Roman and Fox, and whoever the hell else was involved in it. It was just like it was a mess. Oh well, this is fun though. And this
Yeah,
is the last conversation we had. Okay, I'll always remember when they had the shootout down the street. That was
well, yeah.
And Charles,
that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but we were in that building. We were in that building that faced, I think that's Laurel Canyon. Was that Laurel Canyon Boulevard?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was
and I used to draw my characters based on people at the bus stop down there.
Yeah. Good good place to get characters from, man. There were some weirdos. That's a crazy area, man. A lot of crazy looking people. But for anybody that's listening to this, there was one day we see like police car after police car jamming up the street. Wow, just the sirens going, everything. You couldn't believe the amount of police cars. It's like, what the hell is going on? And so we learned that just up the street at this bank, these guys decided to rob the bank, and they came in like with armament. They were armed to the teeth. They had every kind of weapon.
Yeah, they had body armor and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it was incredible, and there was a tremendous shootout with the cops, and so Adam and Charles Payne thought, hey, let's go take a look.
Well, and I got a phone call because I was married at the time. I must have been like 22 or something.
Yeah.
But I got a call from my then wife, and she was like, hey, did you know that there was a shootout? It was just like a bank robbery near you. She didn't even say shootout. She just said bank robbery because I didn't know about the shootout. And I was sharing a room with Tim Walker, Cliff Voorhees and Charles Payne, and the other two had gone to lunch. And so I was like, "Hey, Charles, do you know there was just a bank robbery up the street?" And he was like, "No." And he looked at his watch and he was like, "Well, it's lunchtime. You want to go check it out?" Because we thought it was over. And I got in his car, and we were just having a conversation as we drove. I don't even remember where we were going. I just know there was like a Del Taco across from the bank, and we were just going through the streets. And suddenly he turns a corner, and there were like 4 cops just like hunched down next to their car. And as we stopped, like Charles just got wide-eyed, and I looked at Charles, and I looked at the police, and the police looked at us like, and they were like, and Charles rolled down the window to talk to him. And as soon as you rolled down the window, we heard, and then he rolled the window back up and just peeled out, and we took off back to the studio. And by the time we got back, they had locked it down, and there was some security guard that ushered us into the central conference room where I think we spent the rest of the day.
Yeah, all the buildings were locked down. We were looking out the street, and there's cops still streaming by leaning out the window with high-powered weapons, and
sitting on the window with shotguns. Like it was a little too Hollywood. Like I think if I was going into a shootout, I would not be sitting on the windowsill of my car. But it was the 90s.
Yeah, and that was just the separate building from the rest of film room. And when did you work on Felix the Cat when I was art director on that?
No, I came in at the end of the second season. So Craig Kellman I think he was the showrunner essentially at that point, and there were only like 2 or maybe 3 other people. Damon, our production guy, Pat Ventura had an office, but I never actually saw him.
Pat Ventura.
And I think your name was still on an office door, so I knew vaguely who you were.
Yeah, I got aggravated that they gave the show to Craig Kellman because I helped sell that show, and I felt like if it was going to go to anyone, which should have got me. Not that I would have. I didn't know anything about being a showrunner, so I don't blame. But
did you know
Kellman.
Brett was on that show as well?
Brent?
No, Brett Varon.
Brett. Oh, I did not know. So he must have come a little later as well. Yeah, I remember we did one show that. Let's see, they some about this guy he was making sausages. I don't know. This was the first season, but they banned it in England because they had the mad cow disease, and he was making out of every animal you could possibly think of, and when he ran out of animals to make sausages out of, it shows that he grabbed Felix. So, and the sausages, when they come out, they're like singing and dancing and everything. Happy sausages. It was, but they banned it in England. I was kind of proud of that for whatever reason.
And then several years later, you were animating the Grim Reaper decapitating children and their heads singing and dancing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well that was an interesting show because we had to figure out how do you chop someone's head off without actually showing the head being chopped off. So we would just show
that was
white, and then next thing you'd see a head rolling around. It was something like that. It's hard to remember now.
Yeah, you were one of the very first board artists on the show, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely the first 6 half-hours, because that was the musical that we did, I think, in half-hour number 6. Where there were the 3 different musical parts, because I did the Billy with the brain-eating meteor, and then you did the third segment. We had just been through all of the standards stuff where they had done focus groups on whether or not Grimm could even hold his scythe because they were worried about the scythe. And then, like, the first thing we do is just chop off little kids' heads.
As you do. Yeah.
As you do.
We got away
You've
with
actually
a lot.
had some you've had some weird, gory, strange storyboards now that I think about it. Because you had that one, You had the one where Billy grows the clone out of his back. You did the chocolates. You did the chocolate sailor where Billy eats himself.
Yeah,
Like
that was
you
one
got
of
a lot of the weird ones.
yeah. Chocolate Sailor was one of my favorites. I actually
Me too.
had
Me too.
I encountered well a girlfriend of mine, her son. When he learned that I did that, he started quoting back to me lines from the Chocolate Sailor, and he said, "Man, this is you were a big part of my childhood," which cracked me up. So I hope to met somebody.
It's like you had a son without actually having a son.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what about the calls the call from Cthulhu
Oh yeah, Prank Call of Cthulhu. You did that
when
one.
Billy's nose just splits open and all these things come out. Yeah, shit, man. In fact,
I remember how excited you were about that. I remember you showing me the first drawings you did, and you were like, his nose, it's like a cuttlefish.
yeah, that was a fun
Yeah,
show, man.
you're a prolific artist, I'll say. There's so many times that I went by your cubicle, and I would just, check in and say hi, but you would have just mounds and mounds of storyboard panels that you would, I guess, just thrown away or were planning to throw away. Just piles and
Yeah,
piles of like beautiful finished drawings where you're just like, that didn't work. I'm doing it over. And I'm not as clean as you are, but I feel like I do the same thing. There's a certain point where I have to sell myself on the drawing, and I have to get it to a state of cleanliness where I'm happy with it, and I think it also that gives me the time doing a cleaner drawing gives me the time to think about what I'm doing.
yeah, that's
So
exactly.
sometimes,
Also, for people that don't know today, because everything's drawn on the computer, we were drawing on Post-its. And then putting them down because it was very convenient. If you didn't like the drawing, you just ripped the Post-it off and threw it
Mhm.
on the ground. I would end up just putting all my Post-its on the door of our cubicle. It was pretty much well covered in Post-it of all those, which was it was kind of fun to come and look at them.
Well, and there were a couple times that I went by your office and I just scooped a bunch of stuff out of your recycle bin and saved it. And it wasn't that many times. I maybe did that 3 or 4 times, but I have probably 100+ tiny little Mike Diederich drawings.
I wish I had some of those storyboards because I was just showing somebody the Emmy award that I won. That was a special day because I thought you guys were pulling a prank on me because people kept coming over to the cubicle and saying I won an Emmy, and so I had no idea that I was even up for one. And by the end of the day,
Yeah.
I figured, hey, this is true. Yeah, that was for puddle jumping. That
Hmm.
one, yeah,
Yeah, we
which was
did have a lot of pranksters on the show. Since I talked to you last, I talked to Flores and he was reminding me just about all of the pranks that went on, and I was like, oh yeah.
well, he'd be the
That's
one. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing that we got any work done at all between him and McAvoy and to some degree the rest of
Oh yeah,
us.
McAvoy. Fuck, I forgot. I forgot all about him. He was great, man. He was a good storyboard
Hmm.
guy too. He did some really terrific stuff. I always remember when he bought his Cadillac, and we all made fun of him. But then
Hmm.
I took a ride with him in the Cadillac, and I
Well,
thought, you know what? This is pretty cool. But when I think of Bill Flores, I always think of the trip all of us made to Las Vegas.
hmm.
We all
Yeah,
Las
we
Vegas parked pretty
as I
hard.
said on other episodes of this thing, yeah, we all kind of hung out at work, but also outside of work. So yeah, a couple times we went to Las Vegas for my birthday. So there was the one I remember the most with you was I don't know, it had been some debaucherous night, and
Yeah.
we were all on the airplane, and it was like Home Alone, where we were like, wait, where's Mike? And we thought we were going to lose you. And then, they held the plane as you came sauntering, because this was pre 9/11. So you just came sauntering down the runway with like a drink in your hand, and somebody came and took it. And you got on the plane, and we were all like, yeah.
Yeah, those were the days. I think I learned to play craps on that trip.
Yeah, I remember that too. Same
won,
one for me.
I won something like $1,400 on the crap table.
Oh, this was my 33rd birthday. And the reason I remember is because that's the night that 33 hit 4 times in a row on the roulette table. And I was there for 3 of the 4. And then I was like, no, even I'm out at this point. And then it hit the 4th time. And I was like, well, that's fine. But that paid for my trip.
Yes. Yeah, and the $1,400, that was my first time on the crap table. When it came my turn to roll, I must have rolled for 20 minutes without crapping out, and the table just got packed with people, just to see what was going on. And then the guy that came after me did almost exactly the same thing. So it was a pretty wild table. I don't think I've played crap since.
Yeah, I don't think I have either, honestly.
I'm not much of a gambler, but that was a fun trip.
Don't gamble, kids. It's not good for you.
But I always remember Bill Flores because he partied almost as hard as I did. Maybe we all did. So I'm happy to say I'm not the only one. The only guy missing. The last time I mentioned one of the cool things about working on Billy Mandy was there was such a weird mix of people. And for instance, like we had Cliff Voorhees, who was about, I mean, he was already in his 70s at the time. He might have been 73 years old or something like that. But he was just, I hung out with that guy a lot, and we would go out and we would get drunk quite often. I'm not ashamed to.
No, we had some infamous Cliff Voorhees lunches for sure.
But yeah, after that, I went over to after that show, I went over and worked on Phineas and Ferb, of course. And you went on to Warner Brothers? Fish. Oh,
no,
Fish
I was
Hooks.
on Fish Hooks after that. Yeah.
That's right.
There was probably a year gap in there because we did the Underfist pilot while Cartoon Network was deciding not to make animation anymore. And yeah, after that, Fish Hooks. But yeah, I would always see you guys after hours playing music, and it seemed like a really tight crew. Like, it seemed like a good time.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Well, of course, that show, every single show had a song in it. So when working hours were over, we would all go into the bullpen and make up music. And everybody wanted to get involved in that for several reasons. For one thing, it was a blast. It was really fun to do. And for another thing, you'd make residuals if you had anything to do with the song. So that was kind of a cool thing to do,
Yeah. And for anyone listening who doesn't know, just generally in kids' TV animation, there weren't residuals at all. So really the only way you can make residuals in kids' TV animation was to either write a song or do a voice.
Or be the writer of the.
That's about it, I think.
That's why at the end of Billy and Mandy, we are all starting to do our own outlines, because before that we were doing.
But you wouldn't make residuals for that.
Yeah.
There were no residuals for writing a show. You would just get a little extra money. It would be like $500 on top of your.
Okay, that changed. Yeah, on Phineas and Ferb, I remember we made a push to start getting because we were doing the writing. And the writers got residuals, but all of the storyboard guys, people there, we were the real writers. Like we would, it was always my complaint that when you did an outline, usually the outline was like, oh my God, this is terrible. or the outline would be 14, 15 pages long. And you're like, hey, you can't give me an outline. That's supposed to be an outline, and they would really give you basically a script.
which
And even a
15
15
pages.
script
Yeah, that's
was
more than a
fun.
script should be for an 11-minute cartoon.
Exactly. So so then we started pushing to get residuals for our writing on the shows, and finally we accomplished that on that while we were
Oh,
on that show.
that's great. I didn't even know that. That might have been something I pushed for fish hooks had I known. But yeah, and
Yeah.
on Billy and Mandy, I don't know if you knew this, but like I had like a 4-year fight just to get you guys credit for writing an episode, because Cartoon Network's policy was like, you guys already have a credit for doing the storyboard, so do you really need a credit for writing it as well? And I think they just didn't want to pay that extra little bit of money. And finally, I think the last season or maybe two, they caved in and we did it. And I was like, I changed Cartoon Network. And then the second I left, it was just back to normal.
Yeah. But I don't know who was the first one of the storyboard guys to just thought, oh well, fuck this, I'm writing my own outline. Probably Carl. I can't remember, but
No, it was always, I got to write a couple outlines on Cow and Chicken. So I think it was just like after the show had been, after Billy and Mandy had kind of been established after the first season or two, I just wanted to open it up to you guys. So
yeah.
that's I used to have like the outbox on my door where I would, I would write like 10, 12 outlines for the season, and you guys could come and pick them out. But eventually I was like, if you want to write your own, just do it.
Yeah.
And
And that
yeah.
that made things great. Also, most of the writers, even on that show, at least at the beginning, they would come in with like 10-page scripts, 10-page outlines, and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Not
11
on
page
Billy and Mandy though.
at the very beginning, and then we had to tell them, everybody told them that, no, you got
Because
to,
we only ever had one writer who wasn't me, and he only lasted maybe 6 months.
well, who did the outline for Chocolate Sailor? Craig something?
That was Craig Lewis, yeah. But it
Craig
shouldn't have been
Lewis.
that long.
No, Craig was great. No, Craig was great. He came in like with a page and a half, and it was perfect. What he did. It's just I complimented him and like, now that's an outline. But when I went on to Phineas and Ferb, oh my God, the writers were just like, oh my God. And then 99% of the time, you would change damn near everything as a storyboard guy,
Mhm.
because I always hated the writing. I don't
Well,
know. Maybe,
Disney
maybe
was so,
I'm
and
saying I'm perfect or anything like that, because maybe I was a little bit of an asshole, but man, I
but
just
no, you're not wrong, because Disney was so enamored with live action writers that's who they would hire. But they're hiring like seasoned live action writers to come in and write outlines for 11-minute cartoons, and I don't
yeah.
think they knew what to do, because
Not
it's
only
a
that,
different thing at that point.
I think they resented it because they thought it was beneath them, and
Yeah, I
whereas
agree. I agree.
the animation guys, we were in love with animation, and we were in love with the cartoons, and it was fun to just get as silly as possible, and it was a blast. Like, even when we were working on Billy and Mandy, my motto was stupid is best. The
Hmm.
stupider the better. How stupid can you make Billy? And yeah, and then I remember,
Yeah, and you have to leave room for people to be stupid. So
yeah. And some of my favorite recordings on that was the Toadblatt stuff, the um the
oh
Nigel.
yeah, yeah. Everybody, each board artist kind of had the characters that they shepherded or created on their own, and you definitely were the Toadblatt's guy. I think you
Yeah,
did I think you did all the Toadblatts. Maybe
I think
there
so
may be
too.
one Toadblatt toward the end that you didn't do, but
Possible. Yeah, but that was a blast. And what's the name of the guy we used for the dean? because we got him from Dean Wormer. Same actor.
Yeah. Shoot. I'm blanking on his name.
For anybody that doesn't know, he was in Animal House. We were trying to come up with a voice for the Dean, and I think it was me. I thought, hey, let's see if we can get that guy.
It was,
You know?
yeah. You were like, "Can we get Dean Wormer?" And I remember going to Chris, our voice director, and saying, "Hey, can we get him?" And she was like, "Maybe I'll try." And then we did, and somehow we also got Weird Al Yankovic for the squid hats.
What I remember most, though, is and I am surprised that I didn't get in a little more trouble for it, is that we had like a room filled with actors. Somebody told me, yeah, I got to cool it with having too many characters, but that when the room was filled with actors, they were all playing off each other, and it seemed like they're having the most wonderful time. And the guy that was Dean Wormer, I wish I could think of his damn name. That's terrible. But I remember he walked out of the room when there was a break, and he just looked at us and said, "That room has a lot of talent in it," and he was so pleased to be there. I just felt so good about it. He was so happy to be there. That was a fun recording. That whole deal. It was amazing. Yeah, it was fun when they would all play off each other. And what's his name? That was Billy. Who's the actor that's Billy?
Richard Horvitz.
Richard Horvitz. Okay. Yeah, he would be the instigator, and he would get everything going. And one of the great things about that show is we would leave a lot of the ad libs in, which made it even that much more funny.
John Vernon was his name.
John Vernon, yeah. That was a great show, man. That was fun to do.
Yeah, you had some good guest stars on your episodes too. You were the one that had Witchy Poo for puddle jumping, and then you also did, in addition to all of the, or at least the majority of the Toadblatts, you did I think all of the appearances of Lord Payne.
Yeah,
who was Henry Gibson from Laugh-In.
And also, okay, what was the one where everything breaks?
Yeah, that was Lord Payne as well.
That was Lord Payne. Okay, the one with the let's see, we used what's his name from Back to the Future?
Oh, Christopher Lloyd. Yeah,
yeah, he was in the one where
the brain slug.
Yeah. Christopher Lloyd, he was a trip too. There's a lot of great guys. But the fun thing about that show, it seemed like everybody was delighted to come. You never know what actor.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a very cool era to be working in animation. Just there were so many cool things, but just the fact that you had all these fun actors just jammed into a 12x7 space for a couple hours, riffing off each other.
It was a crack up, man. It was such a crack up. And okay, just the fact that the way that we handled the show, that the storyboard guys were doing the writing, and you just don't get that opportunity anymore. Like for instance, right now I know that they're doing another season of Phineas and Ferb, but it's all scripted. They didn't hire any of the guys that originally made it back. Well, they hired a couple people, but none of the storyboard guys. Well, maybe they
Did they still have the same writers?
Yeah, the guys that we replace are, like I said, the writers would come in with their outlines, and sometimes they would get upset with the storyboard guys because we would end up changing things. Well, that was the fun thing about it, as when you're doing the board, crazy shit would occur to you, and you had the opportunity to go ahead and follow that train of thought, and sometimes the writers would get really upset with you, but 9 times out of 10 they would go with the storyboard guys, and that made it really fun.
Yeah, I think when something's working, then you gotta sort of give it to whoever made it work. But
yeah,
you also kind of have to fight for your turf. I'll give them that. I do remember there were, I would always get executive notes or standards notes on your stuff, and you'd come and you'd be like fighting for your jokes, and I would do the
And
best I could to get them through.
no doubt you were good about it, though. But that reminds me, when you were on fish hooks. Okay, I did the scene where it was kind of out of Cool Hand Luke, where they're all, well, how did it go?
Oh
They're
yeah,
all
yeah.
digging the ditch.
Yours was the Crawdad and Crawdaughter episode, I think. I think that whole episode died a terrible death. Like that never
Yeah,
actually made it to
that
air.
was really pointing to me because I was in love with that scene. There are certain scenes that, that got thrown out. Yeah, it was kind of it was pretty funny though.
Disney, I remember you did a board, Brett did a board, and I think those were like very early boards where we were still trying to figure out the show, and Disney was so, reactionary about those particular boards. It helped shape the show for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, there was good things about Disney. I mean, there's a they let
Well,
they
the paycheck was nice. I'll say that.
paycheck was very nice. Yeah, and the benefits. If you're into Disneyland, it was great. And
Mhm.
personally, I played a lot of ping pong there too. They had a special room with the ping pong table, and I got to where I could beat
Oh,
anybody in the studio,
well, you
which
should
was.
probably tell the Mike Lazo ping pong story while we're here.
Oh yeah, well, what was the offer he gave us? He said he would give no more.
So this was late game. It was like last season, last 2 seasons, somewhere in there. But they had just built the rooftop sort of picnic area, and it was like the first time that we had lunch up there. I remember they had Gendy making Gendy burgers. Uh, and Mike Lasso was like, "Hey, I love ping pong. If any of y'all want to play me at ping pong, then if you can find somebody magically who can beat me, then you can have a whole episode to yourself, and you won't get any notes from anybody." And I knew that
Yeah,
was bullshit. But we pulled in the ringer, who was you, and as I recall, you whooped him pretty good.
yeah. Actually, he pulled ahead of me at the beginning of the game, and then I got serious, and I came back and just I whipped him pretty good at the end. But yeah, he didn't hold to his promise.
No, that resulted in really nothing, but it was a good
I
story.
wonder I wonder whatever become of that guy.
He's probably resting on his millions at this point. I know he handed off Adult Swim. I think the whole network actually went to Michael O'Lean, who is the guy that fired me. I think Mike Lazo may actually still be involved in Adult Swim to some degree. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of lost track.
Michael O'Lean, is that his
Yeah,
name? He fired
yeah.
you?
Well, yeah.
I
Or
that's
no,
the
I don't know if he. I think Stu Snyder fired me technically, but Michael O'Lean sort of gave me along with Stu Snyder, the public dressing down before I was told that they weren't bringing me back. So,
what did he dress you down about? You
were
may
you
I
not
mean
there for that? They broke the. There was like, I don't even know if you were still here at this point, but at the. Uh, I don't even like telling this story because I don't got no beef with anybody, but you know Stu Snyder when he came in, like basically I can't even remember whoever CNN bought Cartoon Network, and Stu came from ESPN. He was like a sports guy, but now he was in charge of the overall experience of all these different companies. So they came in and set up 2 different meetings. There was like half the studio in one meeting, half the studio in the next meeting. And I came into the second meeting, and it was just all about how Billy and Mandy was destroying the network, and moms hated it. and like just my heart was like crumpling up during the entire fucking thing. I don't think I said anything through the whole thing. I just came out of the meeting and I was just like sweaty and angry. And I remember looking at Khaki Jones and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "It's fine." Uh, but I had like two things in development that were supposed to go, and it was just such a shock, to go from, you know, having billboards on Hollywood Boulevard and being told you're doing wonderful to having these people come in and just be like, "Oh no, you've destroyed Cartoon Network."
Oh man, they were so full of shit. They destroyed Cartoon Network.
Well,
They could,
and yeah, it's like, and again, as I always say, it's like the proper thing to do, if that's how you felt, would be to come to me personally and be like, "Hey, something's got to change because moms hate this." But that's not the direction they took. They decided to go a different way.
I'll tell you what, moms might have hated it, but all the kids loved it.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
and there are, there's plenty of my favorite thing, as I always say when I go to conventions, is when moms or dads and their kids come up, and I mean there's less of that now. Now it's like, "Hey, I used to watch this with my dad because I'm fucking old," but uh yeah, people did watch it with their kids, and that always warms my heart.
yeah. But that was what was good about the show, is that mom and that adults could watch it and get a big kick out of it. I think we had a pretty good college audience too. It
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean,
just
my thing was I never really viewed it as a show for kids, or at least I knew kids were watching it, but I was like, I don't want to talk down to kids because I think kids are more savvy than people give them credit for. And hell, I was watching The Simpsons when I was, 13 or whenever that came out. So
yeah. Well, even Bugs Bunny and
sure.
Popeye, when the old Popeyes, man. Look at Betty Boop. Betty Boops were banned. You know,
Oh,
and of course, like Ren and Stimpy, I felt like freed everything up, and we all wanted to be able to have the freedom to be as lunatic those guys were. But
hmm
and we accomplished that on many occasions.
we messed up a lot of childhood minds,
I have I have
and
evidence
I'm
for
not
that.
ashamed of it.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, shit, man, that was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and we had such a real talented group in there. And actually, I had a lot of. It was fun to learn to do a pitch, and that's right. The first time I had to do a pitch was on Johnny Bravo. And but the thing is, like we had already gone through it with the writers and all that stuff, and I felt like we all knew that it was funny already. But when I really had to do a pitch first time was on Billy and Mandy. Yeah. Also,
Did you find that was it a different kind of experience than pitching on Johnny Bravo?
oh, well, yeah, yeah, it was totally different. Well, the difference was that we did the whole thing. Every storyboard guy did the whole thing themselves, and so you were coming in there hoping that everybody laughed, and it was a lot of pressure, but I sort of
Yeah,
enjoyed
it
it.
really was like no net. I don't think I really appreciated that when it was going on because coming from Cow and Chicken, that's just the way things were, and I was like, this is just the way you do cartoons. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on one person for sure.
But that was definitely my first time doing that, and I remember I would laugh at my own jokes a lot, so I was laughing all through my own pit.
Which I loved. That would always start the ball rolling. So
Yeah, everybody had their own style, and each person had their own style. Alex always got me laughing because he would bring all that street talk in there. Like what was one? Oh yeah, when Billy was going, it's gangsta, gangsta, not because somebody said gangster. That's not gangster, it's gangsta. And Carl had his own style. It was completely different, kind of cuter than most. but very funny.
But also semi horrific
Yeah.
in its own right.
Which was the show. The show was supposed to be at least semi horrific, you know. It needed that touch.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah. I
great.
remember after after I left Cartoon Network, I remember talking to Jay just about because it was a risky show. Like I did things that if I was starting a show now, I would probably never do, just because it's such a gamble. Like just allowing one person to take over and tell their story, and without that much oversight, and I don't know, all sorts of stuff. Like doing a musical in your first 6 half hours. Like there's all sorts of stuff I would probably never do now, but. And I remember telling Jay, like, I shouldn't have taken so many risks. And he was like, no, that's what the show was. And, as time has gone on, I'm like, yeah, no regrets. I think we did pretty good.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That show just took a lot of risks. It was so much fun to work on.
You're retired now, right?
I am,
Like
but I'm
officially
doing
retired?
officially retired, but I'm doing illustration work as often as
Is that a conscious decision where you were just like, I'm done with animation? Or is that just sort of things were drying
well,
up? Or
the last show I worked on was Rick and Morty, and I was doing character designs for them. And there was a lot of politics in that play, and man, I ran afoul of somebody. It was just such a drag. It was so much tension in that on that show. It's a cool show. I like the show, but it's funny and stuff. And the design, they had a lot of wonderful designers up there. And I just thought, I thought, well, I know I'm not going to get the opportunity on this show to do storyboards the way I would like to, because I got spoiled, on your show. Like I said, we're just the fact that as a storyboard artist, you got to do your own writing and you got to write your own jokes. And the same thing on Phineas and Ferb. And then I did the mixels, and I practically did all the writing in that. And, well, no, I'll take that back. Jordan Reichik, he was in charge of he would do like the outline. I got a lot of stuff through on there, but it seemed like I was writing and designing and storyboarding, and I was doing just so many things, and I was always late on pretty much everything because it just was too many things to do. But then, so when I did Rick and Morty,
what was your title, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I had 2 titles, and one was writing, and one was storyboarding. But I was also designing because we didn't really have a background designer, so I just started doing the backgrounds as well. And somebody must have cleaned them up, but there weren't that many people on it, and the studio was such a different place when I went in there to do the mixels. Like like when we were doing our show, it seems like there was craziness going on all the time. Like people were pulling gags on each other, and I would usually be playing music, and there was things happening. It was a fun place to be. But when I was doing the mixels, man, it was like a freaking library in there. And it's like nobody was like going to, you just didn't even see anybody. It was really weird. Just a weird environment. And,
Yeah.
it was not enjoyable. Yeah, it was actually, I thought, hey, this really has a chance of doing something, because it was so weird. Everything about it was like, the designs were weird, because it was based on, you know, characters were like triangles and squares and circles, and they just were very strange designs. And but at a point, I thought, hey, this is kind of cool. It's kind of fun, because just like there's nothing like this. But unfortunately, Lego didn't go with it after that, and they should have. I really think they should have. I think because it had real good reaction. So, but anyway, but then the pandemic came along, and that kind of fucked everything up, because it was very hard to. I used to be able to just walk into a studio and say hello and know some people and make connections and get a job, But after
Yeah.
the pandemic, you really couldn't do that. You had to do everything online, and you got lost in a shuffle of thousands. Who knew how many people were, going for a job or something like that, and it just got real difficult. And then, like,
Yeah,
to
it was
get
it
the
was
job,
almost like someone flipped a switch in a way.
sure was, man. And I remember to get the job, I went to a bar called um, Tony's Darts Away. Did you ever go there? It's like a
Oh yeah,
beer
I've been to
place
Tony's.
that has just West Coast beers,
Hot dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're just your basic bar food and stuff like that. Let's
Wow.
see. Oh, was that thunder?
It was.
Oh,
Let's hope
that,
this
that.
let's hope this computer doesn't explode.
But anyway, what I was saying, I was in this bar and I ran into Ann Lighting's husband, Lee. And he said they were looking for a character designer on Rick and Morty. And I thought, well, that's what I wanted to do because I didn't want to deal with scripts anymore. Because
Right.
I fucking did scripts, I would rather, if I was capable, if I was able to do my own jokes, that would be fun. But so I thought, well, that'd be great. I'll just do character design. So I went in there, but it was a little bit difficult because I had never worked in Photoshop before, and I had to immediately learn how. And so I started off on a little bit of a bad foot, but eventually I got the hang of it, and I was doing good work, but there was all these politics, and there was somebody that just kind of had it out for me.
When I was at Fishhooks, one of the creators of Rick and Morty was assigned to our show. He was Justin Roiland.
Mm.
So he was on our writing team, but during that time he was developing Rick and Morty. And yeah, from stem to stern, that thing sounded like a nightmare. I would not want to work on that show.
It was a nightmare, and it was so tense in there. Some really wonderful designers, I'll say that, and some really terrific artists were. But man, it was not a comfortable environment. It's just like God. I don't understand why animation should be that way. It should just be fun,
It's but
But
that's
it should
another
not have.
shame about the state of the animation industry is in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry in general, there's just so much studio politics and backstabbing and just nonsense like that. And we didn't really have a lot of that in TV animation for a long time.
Well, that was again going back to Billy and Mandy. One of the great things about that show was how relaxed. There's certainly there was pressure, but it was good pressure. It reminded me of school days, where you were really in competition with all the other students, and in Billy and Mandy, I think all the storyboard artists at least were in competition with each other because you wanted to come in there and at a pitch, you wanted to hit it out of the park, you wanted to make everybody laugh, and you would compare yourself to the other guy's boards, and like, oh fuck, that guy he really did a great job, like I got to come in and do another one, that's just as good, or better, and man, so it
Yeah,
was a total.
I think it was Elmiger I was talking to about that, where there was definitely competition, but it was sort of a familial, brotherly, sisterly competition.
Healthy competition, yeah, the same way I felt
Yeah.
like when I was in art school, and everybody had to come in with their assignments and put it up on the board and then get critiqued, and you knew if you failed. You knew if you did a shitty job, and, man, if you fucked up, it was just felt so terrible. Yeah. Alex always made me crack. He would always crack me up. He was one of the guys that made me laugh the most. But going back to the politics thing, man, it just it was. I tried to stay out of the politics most of all. I think that's why I never
Hmm.
got into the directing like stuff. It's just like too much to deal with. I wanted to draw, and that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to draw and make stories. It was so much fun. But yeah, that's what happened with Rick and Morty. And then after that, it just became harder and harder to the business just became harder and harder because it's and then right now it seems like everybody I know is out of work. I hope that doesn't last forever. It's
Yeah,
funny. I went
same.
to the
It's literally almost everybody I know.
yeah, it's crazy. Those things are cyclic. Then I don't know what the AI stuff is. I did it I did an illustrated cover for the Toluca Times, and it was for Halloween. And this guy, unbeknownst to me, he goes and described it into his phone on this AI, and just within minutes, it came up with something. It wasn't all that bad. I did a better job, but when I saw it, I was like, oh my god. No, I just can't believe this, what they're doing now. It's gonna put a lot of people out of work.
I never thought that AI would come for artist jobs first. And
Yeah, either.
there's so many just people on the internet that are like, oh well, yeah, it's no different than the camera. It's very different than the camera. But I think eventually it's coming for everybody's job. And if our society were prepared for that, then maybe it would be okay. But I don't think anybody has thought more than 15 minutes ahead, and eventually it's just going to end in a clusterfuck of sorts.
Yeah, and I don't think writers are safe either.
Oh no,
I
not at all.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a useful tool in the future. Depends on what people are going to do with it, but it's sort of scary a little bit. You know what? It makes me feel like I think I don't want. I want to trash my computer and just start painting. That's what I studied
Yeah,
in school.
I've definitely been swinging toward more traditional stuff myself.
Good. What kind of stuff?
Drawing on paper with a pencil or a pen.
Yeah, and I want to get back to that. I used to be really good with the pen, but I haven't used one in a while. So I mean, I was really good with the pen, man. Inking was
Oh yeah.
was a blast, and I got to the point like with those damn Pentels. Like when I first started out with those, sometimes I'd spray and make mistakes and stuff like that. But I got to a
Mm-hmm.
point where I almost would not make a mistake. It was amazing, and when you got into that mindset, it was a beautiful place to be, it's just like as you're in the zone, you felt like Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jordan drawing, it was really fun. I want to get back to that, but I want to also,
Yeah.
another thing, I used to paint a lot. And I thought, oh shit, man, I probably lost my skill. It'll take a while to get back to it. But then when I picked it back up, it was remarkable. It was almost like I got better somehow. I don't know how that
Hmm.
works. I think just the drawing, just the mileage in drawing, even translated into painting. I don't know how, but it seems like that. And I always had a good sense for color.
Yeah, I think all that stuff it's sort of muscle memory to some degree, so it comes back pretty quick.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to just doing that stuff. I haven't built I mean, I got like where I'm at. This is my studio room, and originally this was made to do painting and stuff like that because we didn't use computers in the beginning. Like even when you guys on Billy and Mandy, when you guys first started doing the computer stuff, I just felt like things were leaving me behind a little bit. I think I'll just stick to illustration now and see what I can do with that, even if it's just for my own pleasure. But if I could get a book out of it, I always wanted to make a couple of books. I haven't done any comic books or anything. I did a few pages for you.
Yeah, you did the
With
Evil Concarne segment for our DC comic.
yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I wish I did more of that. Actually, that was a blast.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, well, I'm leaning in that direction now. And also being very lazy. I'm going to take a trip to
Yeah.
Thailand up to the northern region, and if I like it, yeah, I might just we'll see if I how much I like it because
Just never come home.
maybe, yeah, maybe. I'm not interested in like in the party areas or anything like that. Those I'm not a young man anymore. I don't need that shit. But I love the seeing the countryside and the temples and all that
Hmm.
stuff. And I'd love to travel to Vietnam and Cambodia and stuff and check all that stuff out just because I just enjoy that.
I'm excited for you. I'd love to get out and travel myself at some point. Gotta make some money first.
Well, it's good to hear you're working and doing stuff. Are you making stuff up? When Billy and Mandy ended, you did have at least 2, maybe 3 shows in the works that you were working on. Besides, I'm not talking about the puppet show.
There were there were
Like,
2.
what was it?
There was Underfist at Cartoon Network, and then I had another idea that I'd sold them. So there were sort of 2 things just that were theoretically going to go, but didn't. But yeah, over the years, I think I've sold 15, 16 shows to different networks, and they all just get caught up in the gears of regime changes or interstudio politics.
I remember seeing some of the stuff for Underfist, and I thought I really was. I thought that was pretty cool stuff. I was gonna come knocking at your door if that got sold, but anyway, you never know what happens.
You never know. Well, anything you want to say to young up and coming artists as someone who's returning to his artistic roots?
Yeah, you're all fucked. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, just stick to. You know what? Just stick to your guns and do what you don't sell out.
Don't listen to
What?
nobody.
Yeah. What did Kurt Cobain have written on his shirt when they took that photo of him for the Rolling Stone? It said, corporate rock still sucks. So same with animation. Corporate
Yep.
animation still sucks. Just do the good shit, and stick to your guns and do it right. That's what I would say. And fuck AI. Use my language. But
There you go.
yeah. Be an artist. That's it. I'm trying to still be an artist. That was the one thing. Like I was always determined that but when I started doing storyboards, that I wouldn't allow it to make me a shitty artist because I saw so many crappy storyboards. You know what I mean? That were poorly drawn and poorly thought out, and I saw so many crummy ones. And I just thought, man, I'm just not going to let it make me a bad drawer, or just wanted to make. I just wanted to make good art, and I think I held to that my whole career.
I
think that's
agree. If anything, I think you set such a high bar that to this day I'm jealous of your
well,
storyboard prowess.
I appreciate it, man. It's so good talking to you. I'm sorry we didn't get together for lunch before you left for Costa Rica,
Well, I'll be back at some point, I'm sure.
but there you go. Well, you can still get a decent beer over at Tony's Darts Away for not without spending an arm and a leg. So we'll do that.
All right. Sounds
Good
good.
to see you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
All right.
what a pleasure. See you guys later. See y'all.
All right. Bye, everybody.
How do we sign out of this thing?
How do you what?
How do we sign out?
You don't. We're here. This is our life path.
This is the end. Smash your television.